Today we're tying the SDA broom-tailed bass jig. This right here is what you're going to need. First thing you may need to know is how to get this thread through this tube on this bobbin. Just like a straw. Step one, you take this little piece of wire right here. Stick it right there like that. You gotta be careful because this weed guard can come out. But if you pull your own jigs, ain't that big a deal. That done drew first blood. Now that'll hold that weed guard out of your way so you can do your tie. Take the thread, around, around, around. Make you several good wraps. Give this a snip. Like that. Step 3. Make sure you flash your booth. This is a red pearl, I believe. They make one that's a whole lot redder. What I like to do is fold this in half, where it's close to even. I'll take this. Right there. Get a few loops on it and I'll kind of flare it out back here. There we go. So it don't wind up all bunched up together. I done cut my hair here. After you get your hair cut, make sure it's fairly straight across through here. Don't have to be perfect. This ain't that kind of jig. It'll be fine. And then you gotta decide how long you want to leave this natural tail. I like it about where it's at. I'm gonna put it right there. Put a few wraps on it. Then we'll make sure we get it all the way around the shaft of that jig head. There we go. Now we start tying her off. Make you some good dallies here. Broke my string. Got carried away. You can wrap it in whatever you think you need to do. You can use glue right here, but I never do, so looks pretty good to me. Now, what we gotta do, you may be wondering what we're gonna do with all this extra hair. We're gonna do this right here. Yeah. Right here is where we get fancy at, Jack. Be aggravating to get started. Here's one wrap. Go ahead. This is where you gotta count your patience. Don't pull your thread too tight and break it. Just keep it wrapping. A little trimming. mustache trimmer works real good about right here. I'm gonna take a lot of thread. I go front to back, back to front. Just keep working however you think you need to. Just keep working thread around and around, put as much however much you think you need. I'm getting close. Looking good. The next step, we're going to take this right here. You can use fishing line or heavy thread, or this is some sort of braided line. We got to tie this off. Just a loop. I'll keep it attached here to my vise. We're going to take that loop. There, stick out like that right there. Start making some wraps. Go all the way front to back. And I go far back as I can, then start coming back forward. Dang band-aid. I had to have my band-aid in there. Oh Lord. Then we're going to take her scissors here, snip. Pull this back around. Pull my loop back up top there now. And take my thread. Feed it through the loop. See that? Through that loop. Grab your thread. Pull it tight. Reach back here. Grab that loop. Just pull it through. No glue, no nothing. You're tied. Snip her off. Snip that off. And the next step is we're going to reach right in here. Find that red flaming. Give it a little snip. Find them other two. Same thing. Find our band-aid part. Piece of my band-aid. Got it out there. There's our piece of flasher booth. A little red around it. Remove our wire here. Now you can make your mind up if you want to trim this off a little. Leave it wild, whatever. A little snip. I like leaving it a little bit wild. You don't have to be perfect. Then you gotta trim your wheat guard just knock it there. You want it above your hook. And there you go, there's the SDA broom tail. Now you might be wondering why. Hang around and I'll talk a little bit more about this jig and why. This jig, if you're wondering, now I've never seen anybody tie a jig like this. Hey, maybe a million people do it, I don't know. But how this come about for me, when I first started tying jigs, every time I tied a jig, I couldn't keep the hair from sticking through the threads. Looked awful. And I fooled with it, and never did get no better at it. And I didn't like the idea of wasting all that hair anyhow. I liked the natural ends of that bucktail. One day I tied something like this, keep from wasting all that hair. And as I started fishing more and more, I realized how much I love jig fishing. And everybody I talked to about it said they liked it too, but they always had trouble of not getting the hook set in time because fish grab it and spit it out so fast. By that time, I'd been fishing this jig for quite a while, and I wasn't having that trouble. I'd had them carry it out away from the bank like a plastic worm. I'd set hook. The more I kept fishing it, I just never did have that kind of trouble. Now, you know, some spit it out, sure, but not like other people talking they'd having trouble with. And I caught a lot of fish on this style jig right here. And the other thing is, I like how, watch it, when it hits bottom, it gives it that extra roll too. Depending on where you're at, it'll give it that extra little roll, a little more action. Then you wiggle it up in our water. When it hits bottom, you'll give it that extra little roll. And I think sometimes that will trigger a bite. And the other thing is, with that hook up off the bottom, and that fish comes there and grabs it, hooks in his mouth. Versus that hook laying flat and he goes down, he's all pick it up like that. You set the hook, you yank it out of his mouth. It ain't a big difference. But if that hook's laying like this, there's no way he can come there and shovel it in. Or even like that. You know, you could be laying like that on the bottom. He comes down, he grabs it right here by the hair. Or whatever. It just seemed like I had better luck with this style jig than any other style jig I ever fished. And it's like everything else. If you believe in the bait you're using, you'll fish it better. If you don't have much faith in it, you won't fish it like you would something you know will catch fish. So, the broom tail jig was born. If you know somebody that ties a jig like this, let me know in the comments. Because I've never seen another jig tied quite like it. It's just a little different. The other thing is, when a fish comes there and grabs this, that hair gives him more. If I got something in my mouth, I ain't letting nobody have it. You take a jig with just a little bit of hair, I think he feels that hook and stuff, and there ain't nothing there. Don't feel right to him. He'll spit it out. And if you're worried about not using glue, or the way I tied that, or it's slipping or anything, move this just a second. Right here's a jig that was fished to death, tied the same way. There's just enough left of it now, it fell apart. But you can see the hair's still on there. The only difference is, instead of that red flashaboo, I use some chartreuse rubber, which works good. This is one I caught by a 5-6 pounder on, and I saved it. You can see it's still all there too. It won't come apart. And I usually use a swim chunk from Broom, is what I usually use on this jig. And like this, that olive jig there, you can go black, red, pumpkin seed, whatever, green, put anything you want on it. But I got a lot of fish just swimming this thing back to the boat with them swimming chunks. I caught a lot. So the SDA jig was born. So I hope you tie you up a bunch of these, go down the lake and catch you a bunch of fish. And just about time you're lipping that old big bass, just let him know. He's been SDA'd, baby! Ow!